Welcome to the Photographer Diaries podcast. I'm your host, David Scott Bowles. On this podcast, we talk about anything and everything photography. Hey! Fuck. Almost had it. I swear, I do these live every time. You guys know this. And sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. Is what it is. But what's up, guys? This is season 2, episode 9. I got one more episode left until I move on to season 3. And thank you if you guys have been watching or listening, I should say. I really appreciate it. These podcasts have really become a form of kind of, I guess, self-medication, but that sounds like really bad. I guess it's therapy. That's the word I'm looking for. So these podcasts have become really a form of therapy for me, just to get things off my chest, get things out there, talk about things that I'm feeling and maybe other people are feeling. I just want to thank every guest that I've had on the show so far. I know it hasn't been a shitload of guests, but I do really appreciate everybody who comes out and spends time with me and just talks about creative stuff and photography in general and, anything else that's going on. And moving forward, going into season 3, I really want to bring more guests on the show, and I want to talk about things that other people aren't talking about in the creative world, like our mental health and different things like that, and like struggles they've gone through and kind of how they've overcome things and different stuff like that. I know that I've personally dealt with everything in that realm, that aspect. We've talked about on this podcast a little bit about imposter syndrome in season 1. We've talked about self-doubt and just kind of creative rut and client stuff. And we've talked about a lot. And I want to kind of bring those issues kind of back full circle and talk about those with other people who have kind of experienced them more. Or maybe experienced them in really dramatic forms, or maybe people who haven't experienced them, who have just really led this like perfect creative journey with like no, bullshit, I guess. Hold on, I'm gonna turn my phone off because I already know my wife's gonna call me any second. She does it all the time. Airplane mode. Okay, let me take a swig of this, guys. Hold on, I'm just got set up. Everything's ready. I just set up in the studio, and I like this. If you're watching on YouTube, I love this look that I have right here on this set. If you're not familiar with me, maybe it's your first time listening. Let me take a drink real quick. Hold on, I'll keep talking. I'm addicted to Red Bull, I swear. Not sponsored yet, but one day. It's actually a dream of mine to be sponsored by Red Bull, which is pretty funny. I was actually once sponsored by an energy drink company. I used to be in a band way back when. This chair sucks. So I used to be in a band like way back when, and I was sponsored by a company called Chronic Energy. Super good company. I don't think they're around anymore, but their energy drinks were like ridiculous, like so good. I'd have to drive down like Riverside and pick up cases and stuff, but I loved it. It was super, super good. If they're still around, Chronic Energy, if you guys are still doing your thing, send me some stuff. But where was I going? I totally forgot. I sidetracked. Shoot. Anyways, so welcome to oh yeah, that's what I was doing. Now I remember. Cool. Sorry, seriously, squirrel brain today. I have so much like just stuff on my head, on my brain. Going through a lot like mentally, and tomorrow's my birthday. I turned 35, and my wife, we just got all these prints back from like cameras that we've had for forever, and we have pictures of our I guess wedding. We got married at the courthouse. We never had a big wedding or anything, and we were young. We were 20 years old, and we were just about to have a baby, and we didn't want him to be born out of wedlock per se. And long story short, I mean, basically we were forced into getting married. Not that we didn't want to get married, but we were forced into getting legally married. I guess her mom thought I was going to run or something. I don't know, but that's beside the point. But it was crazy to see like pictures from that. I had no idea we even took pictures. And we saw these these pictures, we shot them on a just a cheap 35 millimeter disposable camera, and luckily, I mean, they've been sitting in a bag forever, and they didn't really. They faded a little bit, right? Because those things expire. You have to get them developed right away, because if they sit in there, they're going to start to basically rot in there, and your pictures will come out like crazy blue or pink or whatever color they used in the film. But yeah, it was crazy. I brought back some emotions and some stuff and just mental stuff, and that's beside the point. But getting back on track here with the podcast. We are season 2. This is episode 9. Episode 10, which I will be filming in a couple days. Hopefully, we'll have my best friend Matt on. He's coming into town, so I'm gonna have this like set up ready to go. No excuses. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna do a proper podcast with him and I, and just talking about our journeys with photography. I still credit like him to this day of being the reason why I hold a camera, really. Growing up, I was always really fascinated with cameras and stuff like that, but I grew up so poor that it was like impossible for me to ever have a camera. I love shooting on the little 35 millimeter disposables and stuff like that. And I remember when I was like probably like 7, 8 years old, I was at one of my mom's friend's house, and she had a DSLR camera, but it was a 35 millimeter. I think it was like a Canon, I don't know, EOS 2 or something. I don't know, but it was crazy. Like, I just remember playing with it and like being like, wow, this thing's so cool. Like, obviously I can't ever get one of these, but like, it was just cool to like play around with and like, just look at the buttons. And like, I don't think I ever took a picture on it, but, then, come, into my young adulthood, I meet my best friend Matt, and he's like one of those guys that's just good at fucking everything he does. Like, and it's funny because a lot of people say that about me, but I feel like I'm like half-ass good at some things. Like, I always get like good at stuff, but I never get great at things. And Matt is like the opposite. Like, he's just talented at everything that he does, from drawing. He's a tattoo artist, photography, creating stuff, building stuff, like really good at just everything. Actually, there's one thing that I was always better at him, and that was rollerblading. And we go back and forth today, but I was always better at rollerblading than him. But we'll talk more about that hopefully when he gets on the podcast next week. And that's going to close out season 2. And we're going to go into season 3. And I have some big things planned for season 3, like big photographers, hopefully trips where I go out and we podcast somewhere else, maybe even podcast outside if that's even possible. But hold on, I'm going to cough. All right. But yeah, today's episode, we really don't have a plan. I mean, I guess this is kind of more like a recap video on like where we started, where we're at today, what are my plans with the podcast, that sort of thing. Like I said, this has been an experiment of mine. The Photographer Diaries started out originally as a YouTube channel with me and my friend Carla. Carla and my schedule just really never lined up to be able to go and create consistent content. So we built the YouTube channel and we started doing that. I just really fell in love with the brand, so I didn't want to let it go. And I turned it into a podcast. And it's been something where, like I said, it has been a form of therapy for me to get on here and talk about my, my situations with photography, or like, running into, difficult photographers when you're shooting video, or vice versa. And I want to talk more about these experiences, and I really want to almost put this into like a weird diary format almost. Like, I'm not going to get on here and be like, Dear Diary. Let me see what this button does. Hold on. That's the wrong button. Sorry, hold on. Maybe. Let me stop that. That's kind of... Dear Diary. There we go. That kind of worked. But, I'm excited for season 3. Honestly, I really want to sit down and plan out this podcast and really put out some quality podcast and video content, right? So if you're watching on YouTube, you get the video aspect of it. Like, obviously we're well lit. We have this cool kind of light behind us, and it's visually, aesthetically pleasing. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, I had no plan on today's episode. I just want to get on here and talk to you guys. And something that's really been running through my head lately. And I posted this on my social media, and if you don't follow me on social media, you should. It's at David Scott Bowles, Bowles, as my Instagram that I'm on all the time. And then I also have my wedding one, which is Keen Collective. You can get all that off from my regular Instagram. I'm not going to plug them all. But I recently posted something in my stories that says, "Don't quit, you got this," right? And I had a couple people like reach out to me, like even like big YouTubers that I've become friends with, reach out to me and like, "Dude, I really needed that." And that's all it really takes, a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of positivity. And if anybody knows me, I'm like the last guy to be talking about positivity and encouragement too, because I talk a lot of shit. Like I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. I talk a lot of shit, and I say things that are not I guess asked for, or my wife says unsolicited. So I give unsolicited advice. And my rule of thumb has always been like, hey, you know what? You can always tell your shitty friend they're good, but are they ever going to grow? Are they ever going to get better if you just keep telling your friend who's making the same mistake over and over again in his work, or his work just isn't that good, and you're going to sit there and be like, your work's so good, when it really isn't. It's lacking whatever it is. It could be a technical thing, it could be a creative thing, it could be like bad work, and you're constantly the person that's like, hey, great job, keep it up. Like, you're holding your friend back if you do that. Like, tell them, hey, dude, that sucked. Like, be better. I don't know. I mean, I know there's nicer ways to put it, but I'm a very blunt person, and I like to tell people like that. But I have definitely dialed it way back. Like, and my wife has even been like, yeah, babe, like you've been so good at not talking shit to people, and that's for my own reasons or whatever. But don't be afraid to tell them like, hey, like, because they're never gonna grow. You can't tell somebody that they're doing a great job when they're not, right? Like, when I was a chef, I would always constantly have to critique people's work and like be like, hey, like work on this, or like start over, do it again, blah blah blah, right? But yeah, what else I got to say? Tomorrow's my birthday, so if you're listening to this, because I'm going to post this, it's definitely, I was actually supposed to post this yesterday, but I'm going to get it done and hopefully get it up today, post it today. I'm sorry I'm a day late. Shit happens. I've been busy. I've been crazy busy, and that's why I changed the posting schedule to Tuesdays, because I film on Sundays, but I didn't get to film on Sundays because I had stuff going on, so now I'm filming now. I'm just going to post it right after this, but whatever. Anyways, I have some guests, hopefully, coming on to season 3. I'm super stoked. Some local photographers, some big photographers, some people that I personally look up to. I'm trying to get my buddy Jonathan Thorpe on here. We just did a gig actually last week, and trying to get him on here. The weird thing is, like, I know his story, so it's going to be tough. I'm going to have to ask him some questions that maybe I personally don't know. I know a lot about him because I've assisted him with a lot of his gigs and workshops, and he just kind of tells his story at every single one. So another guy I'm trying to get on here is Sean Lara, super talented wedding photographer from Colorado. Jonathan Branch is somebody I want to get on here too. And just a bunch of cool people that hopefully I can get on here and talk on the Photographer Diaries podcast. But guys, again, thank you so much. This season has been crazy. I know it hasn't been as consistent as I wanted it to be, but if you've followed me and listened to this, and if I brought you any sort of value in your life, whether it is entertainment from me just being me and not cutting these and doing the live intros and whatever it is, or if you've gotten any sort of educational value from talking about stuff, I hope that I provided something for you guys. I really do. Put a lot of time and effort into this, and this is a setup. Like, I set this up every single time, and um, I produce this and record it, film it, edit it all by myself. I don't have like a team behind me or anything. So, uh, yeah, just thank you guys. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to season 3. And that's pretty much all I got. So, cool. Peace.